The ancient extinct tribes, such as the Calusa and Timucua, have left little information compared to other later living native peoples. I was turned on to the name of a rare and possibly extinct bowwood used in Howard Hill's bows. The wood by the name of snakewood was referred to as being a wood of exceptional bow-making quality. If this was the case, surely it was used by local peoples as well, which is where my interest peaks. After many years of research, field time, and a little luck, I found the answers I thought I might be looking for. A Howard Hill researcher, Cliff Huntington, had done some work to uncover the wood being used. There were claims that this snakewood was very dense and would sink in water. This definitely intrigued me, as only very tropically dense woods would be more dense than water. Such a wood should indeed make a fine bow. But why was it essentially unknown to modern man? I was finally able to find a wild-growing tree that fit all the descriptions I was looking for. I cut a piece of the wood and threw it in the water, and it did in fact sink. Snakewood is a modern slang name given to a rare tree growing in southern Florida and the Caribbean. The true common name for the tree is stopper. The wood seems to be relatively unknown to modern peoples as great bowwood simply because of its isolation. It is likely the rarest wild-growing bowwood in the country. The reason for its rarity is not only because of its need for a tropical climate, but also because it is extremely slow growing, often taking 60 to 80 years to reach the thickness of a baseball bat. By sheer determination and admittedly luck, I was able to obtain a modest collection of straight-growing staves of wood. As you can imagine, with a name like snakewood, it tends to grow every direction but straight. I found a select few, cut and seasoned them properly for 2 years. Then the real quest began. I began to build bows from this rare wood and cherished every shaving that I removed. The wood, so dense, seemed to prefer to chunk instead of split. This made working it extremely difficult. I'm a fan of hand tools and stone tools for making bows. By using hand tools, especially stone tools, we can better understand the bow's value to primitive man. The first bow I built from this wood was a modern interpretation of an ancient Calusa bow. I used modern hand tools and decorated the back of the bow with Florida water moccasin skins. I later made 2 more bows using Stone Age tools only. The wood is far more dense than most other woods, and due to its tendency to chunk and rip, I scraped the bows nearly completely to shape with sharp angled spalls of heat-treated Florida chert and agatized coral. After making a few nice bows and gaining a real understanding of how the wood reacts and performs, I was finally ready to make a serious hunting bow that would last me for years. Although my previous bows were certainly capable of hunting big game, they each had flaws that could only be learned through my hands-on experience. I worked with both modern hand tools as well as my favorite Stone Age scrapers and shaves to build an exceptional bow. Stone tools have a warm feel on wood and leave a glass-like finish when scraped with care on clean, broken edges. I again finished this bow with modern influence. Native peoples often decorated their bows to proudly display their own artistic impression. I did the same by adding water moccasin skins that I killed with a Florida native-style atlatl. The skins added a great natural camo effect and brought life to the very plain color of the bow's back. The bow finished out at 61 inches long and about 62 pounds at my short 23-inch draw length. The bow is significantly overbuilt compared to what it really needed to be, but this wood performs so well that the added length to draw ratio has no significant decrease in the bow's performance. Not only is it a great performing bow, but it should quite literally last a lifetime of the hunting abuse I will surely inflict upon it. Arrows were made of both river cane as well as native hardwood shoots such as sparkleberry, privet, and arrowwood viburnum. I fletched the arrows with Osceola turkey feathers. I knapped my points out of locally collected Florida chert and agatized coral that I carefully heat-treated under a fire to make them break cleaner and produce a sharper edge. Each point was knapped with deer antler tools and carefully sharpened to a scary sharp serrated edge with a sharpened deer antler flaker. You may notice I am not a fan of modern camouflage, as I feel it doesn't properly fit within the spirit of primitive archery. Although I have had great success hunting in true primitive attire, I prefer to hunt while wearing more colorful native-inspired shirts, brown pants, and moccasins. I enjoy the bright colors and patterns as they help conceal my outline while at the same time allowing my slow-moving presence to be readily seen by any modern hunters I share the woods with. By hunting on the ground as well as in the local giant live oak trees, I give chase to game. I think outside the box when hunting and use many stalking and wading methods. I've killed game both from the ground and in trees, and have no preferred method except for simply what works best where I'm hunting. A particularly meaningful place for me to hunt is on the thick branch of a live oak. This tree has spoke to me for many years, and it lends itself well to the hunt. This is where I stalked and killed my first deer with a bow 9 years prior. It is a seasonal hunting spot given its production is best when the acorns are dropping. It is common for deer to approach from nearly any angle and feed beneath the tree. Well, we got it done on camera here. I didn't know it was a button buck when I shot it. Of course, that doesn't make a whole lot of difference, I suppose, to me. You know, I'm a meat hunter after all, so it's not a huge trophy by any stretch of the imagination, but anything that you're killing with a primitive bow and a stone point, you know, it's hard to complain about that. And made a pretty good shot. Maybe not the best one ever, but pretty good. It definitely got the job done. I think it only went maybe 80 yards or so. Got it with an agadized coral point and this here white stopper Florida Snakewood Bow and cane arrows, a nice otter quiver, everything to go with it. I lost the arrow that I shot him with. I'll have to get back on the trail and see if I can't find it. I didn't see it on the way here. It was getting dark, and as soon as I saw him up ahead here, I figured it was time to get him while there was a little bit of light left for some filming. So we'll get back and find that arrow, and I'll show you what that looks like as well. Well, we found the arrow this morning. It didn't take real long to find it. It was pretty much a complete pass-through. I watched the fletchings disappear into it, but it wasn't exactly where I shot it. It made it about 2 or 3 steps and dropped it, and I was already onto the blood trail and moving, so I figured it must have carried it a little further, but it didn't. It was pretty well right there where I shot it. Obviously, this arrow's in good shape. The stone point, you know, is actually still pretty darn sharp. It needs a little bit of a point put back on, but I won't do that anyway. I like to save the points after I shoot one. But this arrow is good. I'm going to straighten this arrow out, clean it off, put a new point on it, and it's going to be ready to hunt again. It wasn't until much later that I realized what I had accomplished. I spent years looking for this wood, seasoning, building a bow from it, and now to have a white-tailed deer fall from the power in its limbs. Do I realize this is likely the first time that this wood, in primitive bow form, has ever been documented and recorded in a successful hunt. Thanks for watching, and if you find yourself in need or interest of looking for a primitive bow, arrows, stone points, quivers, Anything you need to be a successful primitive hunter, visit gillsprimitivearchery.com.